One of the comments that we've gotten on the channel is that in the video Sikhism versus atheism, that we've addressed a lot of the arguments of atheists, but what about some of the arguments of agnostics? So agnosticism is different from atheism, whereas atheism says that definitively there is no God. Agnosticism says that we don't know if there's a God or not, because unless we're presented with evidence, we're not ready to believe that God exists. So this is something that as Sikhs, we should be able to answer those questions as well, because it is a different position than atheists. So a lot of times agnostics will say that if you're able to present us with evidence that God exists, we can change our viewpoint, but in the absence of that evidence, we don't accept the existence of God. So if we really examine Sikh teachings, we do have the answers. Our gurus have given us the answers to these questions. So as far as accepting something or not accepting something in the absence of evidence, if we were to take the example of milk, for example, milk contains within it, if it's churned properly, butter. It has the potential to become yogurt, but we have to do the experiment in order for those things to become manifest. So while it's true we can accept upon faith that milk contains those things, unless we do that very specific experiment, we won't know for sure. And so Sikh teachings tell us that there are realized beings, people who have attained God, our gurus, devotees of God, saints, who have turned the milk into yogurt, who have found the true purpose of life. So, while, that is a good starting point, belief is a good starting point, agnostics would argue, well, at this point, you don't really have any evidence. You've only accepted it on faith based off of what somebody else has said. So this is something where Sikhi goes a little bit deeper. It says that, yes, belief is a good starting point, but we don't stop at belief. We go towards realization, where that belief becomes something that we can see and experience and feel. So it doesn't remain just a belief. So the way we would answer that argument is, yes, true, there is no apparent evidence that God exists, and any evidence is subjective based off of the person experiencing, having that experience of God. So it cannot be proven to somebody who's skeptical. But if we start with an assumption that God does exist and we accept that as an idea, as a belief, then through the experimentation of meditation, we can turn that belief into reality. And it's actually, Gurbani, like our scripture actually encourages us to go beyond just belief. So we start with belief, but we turn it into realization, because a lot of times if we don't strive to realize what we believe, it won't be reflected in our actions. For example, how many times do we hear about people who they say that this person believes in God, but look what they did? Or this person has such a strong belief in their faith, but their actions, don't reflect that, and they're pointed out as hypocrites. Somebody who really strives to realize God, they'll intuitively know God, and hence hypocrisy becomes impossible, because it's not just a mental concept, it becomes their very lifestyle. So that's something where if somebody asks us, what is the evidence of God? I won't accept it unless you present me with some real evidence of God. The answer to that is it's a subjective experiment. And while there's no objective evidence, if we take it on faith, if we start with faith, eventually the evidence will become clear to us as we do the experiment. For example, we may not see the yogurt, we may not see the butter, but if we do the experiment, of turning the milk into yogurt, then once the yogurt is in front of us, we don't need to have faith or doubt it. Faith and doubt become irrelevant when we see it. So that's how we answer that question. So we start with belief, but we end with realization. So it's a little bit more nuanced than atheism, where agnostics don't reject the idea of God. They say that God could potentially exist, just show us the evidence. So Sikh teachings go very deep, and they do end at that point where once God is evident to us, then everything we do reflects our belief in God. And hence it's no longer just a belief, it's a realization. There's a beautiful verse also in Guru Granth Sahib Ji that says, truth is above all, but higher still is truthful living. So it's not enough to just have a belief in the truth or to understand the truth intellectually, but to live that truth in our daily life. That's how it becomes manifest, and it goes beyond just an intellectual idea. So hopefully this helps to shed some light into how Sikh teachings address the belief of agnosticism.